Hey, good morning. This is Morning Prime. I'm Nicola Barreto. Thank you so much for joining us. It's another beautiful day, another opportunity for us to, at least dig deep and have ourselves a positive and productive day. Morning Prime is all things Trinbago, all things Caribbean, and all things you. And of course, we invite you to, check us out on Facebook. Our handles at Twitter and Instagram, Morning Prime TT, and of course Morning Prime at Morning Prime. And there's so much going on here in Trinidad and Tobago, and we wish we could actually, take the time out to just bring it to you from us here in studio to your homes. But during the course of the day, we will do our best to ensure that you're informed, you're educated, and of course you are also very much so entertained. So Morning Prime coming up a little bit later. Of course, we've got Ashley Abash, we've got Carlette Holder, we've got Athalia Samuel, we've got Zomari Tanka, and they'll be taking you through the morning. Let me just give you an idea as to who we've got lined up this morning. I know we've got a comedian on. His name is Kareem Rockwell, so that's going to be very interesting and also very funny. We've got the Punch Man on. In fact, he's here, and the punch is in the refrigerator. And I just want to say to those of you who may be looking on here at the studio, don't touch it, all right? Do not go into that refrigerator and interfere with any of our punch. But he's up a little bit later on. We've also got the Trinidad and Tobago Coalition of Service Industries, Jerome Chambers and Ryan D'Souza. They'll be chatting with us. They've got a fraud conference coming up. I think it's sometime early June. And the PTSC, they're celebrating 50 years. Imagine that, 50 years of existence. I've got Carl Ramdeo coming up just a little bit after the break. So just to give you an idea as to what's coming up this morning on Morning Prime. A lot going on in the world as well. We had an Amtrak train or derailing. I think something like maybe 6 persons have died. That's in Philly. 140 persons injured. So it's not something that we're following as well. And of course, our friends in Nepal, another earthquake yesterday, 7.3, which, further devastated the persons there. So, our hearts, our prayers with them. We've also got our support, TV4 Nepal Support Fund. So feel free to give generously. And I do believe tomorrow our friends from Mapal, they'll be back to actually give us that check. So make sure and check us out right here on Morning Prime. I'm Nicola Barreto. We've got so much going on. Carl Ramdeo is on the other side of the break. Stay with us.
On April 25th, 2015, more than 7,000 persons have been killed by the Gorkha earthquake in the Democratic Republic of Nepal. The Government Information Services Limited has joined the government of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, along with international bodies, to assist in sending relief supplies to the people of Nepal during this devastating time by starting the Nepal Relief Fund. The funding will be used to contribute to the life-saving priorities of those affected. Rajendra Arjun, former head of the Trinidad and Tobago Red Cross Society, has made the initial donation of $5,000. We wish to encourage you, the citizens, to pledge and support this worthy cause. Please make all checks payable to GISL with the word donations in brackets, or you can walk in. Drop off your donations to our offices at TIC Building, Lady Young Road, Mova. Call us at 225-ICON, that is 225-4266, or call me, Rhonda, at 674-1333. My extension is 4004. Join us. Donate to the cause. We can do this together.
Hey, welcome back. It's Morning Prime right here on TV4. Thanks again for joining us. A lot of us acknowledge the PTSC buses, and when I say acknowledge, a lot of us acknowledge by seeing them on the roads. Some of us driving behind them and say to ourselves, no, we don't want to be caught behind a PTSC bus, so we try our best to overtake or to get in front. But how much do we know about the PTSC bus system here in Trinidad and Tobago? Do we know that it's 50 years old? And do we know that, for many who do not own their own vehicles, this is a lifeline? And I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome to the set of Morning Prime, Mr. Carl Ramdeo. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
He is the acting GM at PTSC. Congratulations. Happy birthday, 50th birthday.
Thank you.
PTSC. Tell us a little bit about the history of PTSC.
Well, PTSC, good morning, of course, to your viewers. PTSC came under an act of parliament in January 1, 1965, where it became a provider of transportation services for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. 50 years after that, we have transitioned from the tram to the railway, and when the first buses came in 1965, the operations of PTSC started on the 7th of May, 1965. We moved from what we traditionally know as the blue buses, the Thomas buses. Those were the ones that were standard, using the gears and so on. And we've transitioned into the 80s when we moved into the air-conditioned luxury buses. Those were the first of those kind. Then further, we've moved on to the deluxe coach service, where it's now you have a departure lounge and people can access those and have a seat and wait for their buses and so on. Further than that, PTSC is even gone. We've gone and segmented the market, where we are now providing services for the elderly at a different table in the Eldamo services that was launched back in 2012. Incidentally, we have now done over 34,000 trips with the Eldamo services, providing
that's
care for
excellent.
people across Trinidad and Tobago. Of course, it's a dial-a-ride. You call 800 ride, you set your destination where you want to go, we pick you up, we take you there, you do your business, and we return you to your... And then we've gone further. Quite recently, we've gotten involved when we answered the call of the government of Trinidad and Tobago to move into the environmentally friendly buses, the CNG operated buses. We have launched 35 buses quite recently. So we have transitioned over the years, but always in a developmental stage, PTSC.
Carl, do you think society, Trinidad and Tobago, understands the leaps and bounds that have been made, or the extent that PTSC has gone through to, give that level of comfort to the commuters here in Trinidad and Tobago? Do we understand what has gone into coming out of, let's say, 1965 into 2015, especially when you focus on the environment, the 34 CNG buses, you said?
Yes, 35.
35?
Absolutely. PTSC perhaps stands head and shoulders above many of the other state enterprises in Trinidad and Tobago, and more so over the last 5 years, we have fundamentally increased the brand, or further the brand for PTSC. In terms of the connectivity we have with villages, towns, all over the country, we have been able to upgrade services wherever those services have not been up to the service levels. We have introduced new services across the country, and when I say new services, I mean we put on new routes, and wherever we have done that, we are oversubscribed already. The fleet continues to be inadequate, and we know that, and we've been increasing as we go along. We have been on an aggressive and repair maintenance program over the last few years. Throughout Trinidad and Tobago, people are accessing PTSC transport in every village, in every town, in every community. They have been calling with us, and we continue to say this is a partnership. Tell us what is happening in your area, what you require, and we will be there to fill the gap. We have launched several services across the country, not only here in Trinidad, but certainly in Tobago as well. And we continue to be mindful of what is required. PTSC is seen really as a provider of transportation, but really it's more than that. It's a conduit. It's really a productivity provider as well. We provide productivity in the country. If we don't run on a particular day, we can quantify what that means to the country if people are not able to get to their places of work, and what that means for productivity. So we're contributing significantly as well to that. And throughout the years, PTSC has demonstrated that we can provide affordable, reliable, and safe. Safety has been priority at PTSC.
When we think about the levels of traffic in Trinidad and Tobago, and you're sitting in traffic for 2 hours, and by the time you get to work, you really don't want to do anything. You literally take an hour before you can wind down and get yourself into work mode. And we think about carpooling, and we think about the fact that there are 4 and 5 cars almost in every household. Do we understand, again, and I take it back to that, is PTSC pushing that we really should utilize the services of the public transport service? And if you had to describe the service or give us an idea, would you say that we're covering all of Trinidad and Tobago? Is it a 75%, 25%? Are we covering 80% of Trinidad and Tobago? What are we looking like at this point in time?
All right, what we're doing in terms of we know traffic is a perennial problem, and it's been so for some time and continues as more and more vehicles come onto the roadway. We have been looking at the option of park and ride, and we have explored that opportunity in South Trinidad and East Trinidad. The PTSC is engaged in a strategic planning exercise currently, and as part of that, park and ride is significantly going to be part of that exercise. We are discussing with the Ministry of Works and Infrastructure currently the provision of a lane, a dedicated lane between San Fernando and Mount Hope, which is on the bus route, to provide the transportation for the bus services so persons are not stuck in gridlock traffic. Also, we are providing those services with the view that persons can leave their vehicles at home, knowing that they can reliably take a PTSC bus and get to their destination, their workplace, on time. Currently, we are covering almost about 85% of the country. We can't cover everywhere because the terrain will not allow for it in some areas. Sometimes in the Moruga area, in the Blandishers area, and somewhere as far as deep as Toko. However, our bus fleet continues to be inadequate. And I make the point very often that we need to probably have another 200, 250 buses to adequately service.
How soon do you think we would be able to
Well,
at least?
the government has approved 100 buses. We've gotten 35 out of that. We have another 65 to come off that. And then certainly we'll be looking at another 100 very, very soon to add to this, the fleet. And all of these would be CNG operated. We've just, with the assistant of the CNG, NGC, CNG, and NP, commissioned a CNG station at PTSC in Port of Spain, providing our fuel now for our buses there. So we will be looking at augmenting the fleet as we go along, as well as increasing the amount of buses that we have for the elderly and differently able as well. So it's not just one area we're looking at, it's comprehensively a lot of areas we're looking at. PTSC owns about 15 acres of land just outside Taruba. We are already engaging the attention of an architect to look at building, constructing a transport stop there, a hub. You call it a transport mall, where you can have services out of Port of San Fernando, so persons can get there, park their vehicles, and access transportation there. We're looking at intermodal transportation. So you get there, you can find a taxi service, you can perhaps ride a bicycle, you can get access to the Caribbean Airlines to get to Tobago, and as well the fast ferry as well. So we're moving into that era. The world has gone into intermodal transportation, and no longer is it just a uni-transportation.
Well, let's look at this scenario. We've got about 3 minutes left. I'm stealing a minute. I'm not getting on a PTSC bus. One, I think, and this is a scenario, I feel that it may break down and it's not safe. Plus, it's not a good look for me. How can we now convince the persons who say that, and I know there are people who say that, that it's a safe form of transportation. And let's talk a little bit about your safety record.
Well, PTSC enjoys one of the highest safety standards in the industry in the Caribbean, perhaps in the Western Hemisphere. Our record speaks for itself. In terms of what we've been able to do, safety is paramount at PTSC, so we don't compromise that in any way at all. We have moved the demographics in terms of persons, the ridership on our buses. Over the last 5 years, we've seen a different target market come on board. Persons who are with the shirt and tie, the working class people, more and more using, because we have moved the bus from just a bus ride to the ultimate customer service experience, and we're working towards getting that. We have been introducing new routes. We talked about the deluxe code service, which really caters for the working class public. So we're moving persons reliably. We have employed an aggressive repair and maintenance program. You talked about buses breaking down. We have less and less of that happening. We have been getting more and more commendation and less complaints coming in. As a matter of fact, I moved the complaints desk to the service desk. I've changed the name. because our drivers are being complimented for the work that they've been doing out there. All our members of staff at the engineering department, our staff at the operations department, at all levels of PTSC, we have seen marked improvement. And certainly the experience on board the bus, and I can tell you just last week, when it was decided to put the free travel for the 50th anniversary,
And I
to mark
commend you
that,
for that.
oh yeah, that has worked phenomenally well.
And people are looking forward to more
than
free
that,
rides.
more than just the 50th anniversary. What it did, it allowed a new segment of the market to come on board and ride the PTSC, but experience it for the first time, so that there will be repeat sales coming from these persons. And the feedback has been phenomenal. I've had the Minister of Transport call me the next morning and said, this has worked really well. His feedback he received on the ground as well. Persons actually took the opportunity to ride the buses. The kids who were home because of the SEA exams, those who were not engaged in that exercise, took the opportunity to go on the buses with their parents. I was there in San Fernando, we were there in Chaguanas, Sangre Grande, Tobago, all around the country. People have still been talking over the last few days. I've been hearing about it. They've been saying for the first time, state enterprise has given back something to the people. And while we would have forego over $60,000 in income for the day, what we have achieved in terms of a future target market certainly speaks volume for what PTSC can do. And we know that there are many people in Trinidad and Tobago now who have never had that experience, can say to persons, you need to ride the bus.
And they know what the ride
They know
is
what
like.
the ride is.
Carl, thank you so much for being here. I wish we could have spent a little bit more time, but congratulations to PTSC 50th anniversary. I'm pretty sure that you will have some free rides during the course of the year to give commuters the opportunity to see what the ride will be like eventually.
Perhaps off-peak.
Well,
Perhaps off-peak. Yeah.
thanks again.
Yeah,
have a wonderful day, all right?
Thank you so much.
We're going to come back. This is Morning Prime. Stay with us.
We at TV4 believe that sport is not getting the media platform it deserves. Hence the reason we came up with 4 Sports. I'm Wayne Cunningham.
And I'm Gregory McBurney. Are you tired of seeing 5 minutes of sports crammed into a newscast? That's why we here at TV4 dedicate an entire half hour to sport. In-depth analysis, highlights, and even discussion of a trending topic.
4 Sports, weeknights from 7:30 p.m. right here on TV4.
Fridays, join us for Test Talk as we look at opportunities for students and adults after they have pursued secondary education. Join moderator Tony Dial and the panel of professionals as they discuss the many opportunities for tertiary education and skills training available to you. Don't miss Test Talk, Fridays at 6:30 p.m. exclusively on TV4, Our TV. Tuesdays, join us for Lowy Talk, a riveting entertainment talk program on TV4. Stream it live on www.gisltd.tt/TV-4. Tweet the panel at Our TV. At Lowy Talk or call in and share your views. Come, Lowy Talk on Lowy Talk, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. exclusively on TV4.
Psychology is a lived experience, and responding to daily challenges in a positive manner is a method for success. Tune into Psychology Live every Monday at 6:30 p.m. with host Dr. Keith Lee Kwai as we share tips and wellness skills for living in our fast-paced and connected world. Stream it live on www.gisltd.tt/TV-4. Call in to share your thoughts and views. No stigma, no negative stereotypes, just Psychology Live on TV4, Our TV.
Welcome back to Morning Prime. I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Don't forget you can follow us on Instagram at Morning Prime TT or on Facebook and Twitter at Our TV4. Athalia and I now have in our company Miss Zina Ramatali and Miss Maureen Taylor-Ryan from the National Parent Teachers Association. Welcome, ladies.
Yes,
Thank
good
you very
morning.
much.
Good morning.
And good to be here.
Yes, and up very early.
Yes, I woke up at 4.
Wow. I'm sleeping at 4.
Now tell us, people hear about the Parent Teachers Association or the National Parent Teachers Association, but tell us a little bit more about the scope and how people can get involved.
Well, the National PTA is a 55-year-old organization. Wow. This year, we will be celebrating our 55th anniversary. So we have been around for a very long time. Now, the National PTA, our structure is that we encourage parents to join from the school level. That's the unit level. Then we have, from the unit level, we have officers, make up 5 officers from the units. They attend 5 or more regional meetings. And from the regions, make up the General Council of the National PTA. And then we have the elected national officers, of which Maureen and I are national officers. So we have 13 national officers elected, and we also have 8 coordinators, national coordinators. So we are far and wide in all 8 educational districts across Trinidad and Tobago.
So a question that I would like to pose, you mentioned campaigning. What is the campaign about for the PTA?
Well, right now we are engaging in training for our membership. We recognize that the parent community, the parents are getting younger, and they are lacking in motivation, inspiration, and parenting skills. We are encouraging parents when they join. Some of them come to the table, with limited skills. So what we are doing right now, we are conducting training sessions in all our districts, our educational districts. So we have trained parents in St. Patrick, Caroni, Port of Spain, and environs. And 2 Saturdays ago, we were in Tobago.
Nice. I noticed Miss Maureen laughing when you said the parents are getting younger. It made me smile. So did that remind you of anything? Well, like you had a very good experience with our young parents.
But you say that you're training parents.
Yes.
But can any parent be join the National Parent Teachers Association?
Yeah.
Well, once you're in a school and your school is affiliated to the National PTA, then you belong to the National PTA. You have to pay a subscription, right, and your membership fee. The membership fee is for the unit, not per member, like in the States and some other, like Martinique. Each parent pay.
Oh.
But in Trinidad and Tobago, the unit will pay. So when you join, you pay $200, and your yearly subscription would be $300.
So when you say the unit, you mean in the school?
The school,
unit.
yes. So
Okay.
if you're in Malabar government, that's a unit.
That's school, okay.
So some unit will have more parents than other units.
Okay, that sounds, I think it's good.
But it's
it
parent
doesn't strain
teacher.
or stress the parents from, and then as you mentioned, a lot of them are very young these days. So one of the things that I wanted to cut on the schools, because I kind of affiliate myself with one of my schools back in Laventille, and I'm not too sure who they go to for assistance with the school structure and that type of stuff. Is it through the PTA as well? Do they write to you, or is it to the education body?
They write to the National PTA if they want to affiliate with us. But there are schools that are not affiliated with us. But we believe all government schools should affiliate with the National PTA, but even in the Education Act, it refers to being in an association. And it recognizes us, the ministry recognizes us as the body, because we have an Act of Parliament, 18 of 1976. So we go far back.
Well, it's 55 years.
Yes. So we are authorities in this thing.
So like everything else is always positives and negatives, but what is some of the positives of schools being a part of the National Parent Teachers Association?
All right. Well, it's just an umbrella body. You know, sometimes when you go alone as a unit doing this and that, you could be victimized. But when you go under the umbrella, it is more difficult. For instance, about 2 weeks ago, we had this anti-bullying campaign. So all of us, the schools in Tobago, came out to march against anti-bullying. So it was not one school marching against anti-bullying. And we expect to have the government, to have the Ministry of Education, a policy, an anti-bullying policy. So we protect all children in all schools against anti-bullying. So when you come under the umbrella, so that when the minister meets us, whenever, we can discuss things across the board for all schools. So if you're talking about indiscipline in school, we're talking about indiscipline in every school, as against indiscipline in Malik or San Fernando East or whatever it is.
And the measures that can be put in place.
That's right, that's right, that's right.
There must be, when you talk about bullying, there must be measures that are put in place to deal with the problem.
That's right. So you can have your sanctions, you know, so that, and then the methodology, how are you going to deal with it? So you have to have a kind of preventive approach.
Sensitizing the children as well.
Yes, so in our march there's a lot of sensitization because they had their own little captions and they're walking about, you know. So it was well fun because we also had Roy and Gloria. So the thing was also dramatized so that they understood what this bullying could do to another person. So you don't want to be the person to make somebody kill themselves or feel down and so on.
And then we had the police. We had Inspector Alexander joining us on the walk. We had Superintendent Joanne Archie also walking with us. So it's a partnership. So we believe in collaboration. It really, you know, bothers us when, you know, as a stakeholder, you know, we are slighted because we are here to assist, right? Coming back to the issue of bullying and the policy, that is what we would like to see coming out of this whole campaign. That we have bully-proof classrooms, that teachers are trained how to deal with bullying, you know, the different types of bullying. And one of the posters that one of the schools in Tobago wrote was, "Do not hate, congratulate." And then the police,
I love that.
And that's took, and Pastor Dutton was also there with us. And he, in walking, he spotted the banner and he said, you know, I want to sensitize and I want to read it. And, you know, two things, you know, that I remember some of those captions, you know, that I saw. And that was one because he kind of dramatized and he instilled that, look, do not hate. And he had the children repeat it. So the adults who were there, you know, Inspector Alexander, he was able to explain, well, look, if children are being bullies from young, they end up by age 24. They end up with a criminal record and they end up in gangs and so on, and why, you know, and how parents could deal with that. So we want to continue that campaign.
I mean, the thing is that sometimes they turn out to be fine, you know, but they don't realize that
after
words, they're mean words.
Yes.
Or as you say, jealousy, don't hate, congratulate. Those things that even though the bully may turn out to be fine.
Well, I guess in school it's competition. All the students want to be bright and on top. So when you, because I remember being in school and, you know, all those like teacher pet kind of feeling, you know, I'd be like, and not about that. So why does one student get in this kind of treatment and I'm not getting it? So it really,
But it's a serious thing, and we really want, you know, the Ministry of Education and other stakeholders to partner with us. I know we have a meeting coming up, you know, on Thursday with the police to continue, you know, the partnership in dealing with
And bullying. Is this an open meeting? Because we have to wrap soon, so I just want to ask if there's anything that you want to let the public know, any initiatives for your 55th anniversary or your
Yes.
How to get in contact with you.
Yes, 674-5512. That's our office, temporary office in San Juan. 674-5512. And we have our convention coming up at the UTT Valsain campus. Our feature speaker will be the Honorable Chief Justice. So we are looking forward, and our theme for this year is building a nation through positive thinking and action.
Lovely, and the public can come out
Yes,
and
all
support
is
and get the
invited
information.
to come out and hear, what our Honorable Chief Justice has to say to our parent community. So thank you so much, and we look forward, to, continuing the work and supporting and, helping the children of Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, y'all are doing an
Lovely having
amazing
you.
job,
Yes,
so I
thank you.
must say.
Thank you.
All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. We have so much more in store for you. Stay with us.
Psychology is a lived experience, and responding to daily challenges in a positive manner is a method for success. Tune into Psychology Live every Monday at 6:30 p.m. with host Dr. Keith Lee Kwai as we share tips and wellness skills for living in our fast-paced and connected world. Stream it live on www.gisltd.tt/TV-4. Call in to share your thoughts and views. No stigma, no negative stereotypes, just Psychology Live on TV4, our TV.
Tuesdays, join us for Lowy Talk, a riveting entertainment talk program on TV4. Stream it live on www.gisltd.tt/TV-4. Tweet the panel at our TV4, #Lowy Talk, or call in and share your views. Come, Lowy Talk on Lowy Talk, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. exclusively on TV4. Fridays, join us for Test Talk as we look at opportunities for students and adults after they have pursued secondary education. Join moderator Tony Dial and the panel of professionals as they discuss the many opportunities for tertiary education and skills training available to you. Don't miss Test Talk, Fridays at 6:30 p.m. exclusively on TV4, our TV.
Every Wednesday is Sports Wednesday on TV4. Join us for the hardest-hitting sports talk show on all your favorite sport topics. Stream it live on www.gisltd.tt/TV-4. You can tweet the panel at our TV, #Sports Wednesday, or you can call in and share your views. Watch Sports Wednesday every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. exclusively on TV4.
Welcome back. It's Morning Prime, and next to me, I want to welcome on the Morning Prime Pastor Desmond Austin. He's from the Open Bible Church in Tunapuna, and he's also the president of the Trinidad and Tobago Council of Evangelical Churches. Good morning, Pastor. How are you?
Excellent. Good morning. Very excellent. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
So, Pastor, of course, I would like to first start off by asking you, in your opinion, what have you come across as one of the most detrimental things to really deplete the society in which we live in? What are the most negative things?
Well, as we look at all that has been happening across this nation, as a church, we have been doing as much as we can. We know governments have been doing as much as they can. And we can name so many other institutions. Last year, for instance, we had a whole group of civil society coming together to do what we call Prep Plus. But I found out that a fundamental change can come to our nation if we focus on what I call the family. Every priest comes from a family. Every criminal comes from a family as well. So there has to be wisdom in trying to ascertain what could be done if we can really salvage families so as to bring some meaningful change in our nation. And of course, this applies internationally as well. So I think family is a critical thing.
Now, when you say a family, are you speaking about what we look to as the perfect family, mother, father, and then, of course, children?
Well, as a pastor, naturally, I would think of family from the context of marriage as constituted by God, as well as to understand that is the foundation, the basis on which a family structure must be built. Of course, the father being the pillar of this construct.
Now, there are many different reasons why that might not be the reality.
Yes.
Maybe somebody, one of the parents passed away, and we might have single parenting happening.
Absolutely.
In that case, what do you think could happen to kind of, you know, counteract the actual build of what a family should be?
Yeah, I'm happy that you asked that, because in understanding the fact that God instituted the family, God has also instituted other institutions, for example, the government, and of course he has instituted the church. But in the context of the family, we find that we have moved away from what was generally defined as the nuclear family, in which you will find that the strength of grandparents, for instance, in strengthening situations where you may have a death. I grew up in a family, for instance, where my dad died when I was just 6 going on 7. 7 of us. Here was my mother alone.
Yeah.
But again, you had the support of other members or relatives. So you will find that you will have an aunt, you will have a grandparent, and you will have the support of your neighborhood. So you find these things are not as entrenched as they used to be. So people struggle with a sense of identity and a sense of focus and well-being, because the family institution and the sense of relationships that we bonded through, they are not as strong as they used to be. Again, it goes back to that foundational thing.
What things can be implemented to keep our values back on an all-time high? It's at an all-time low. Our morals, our disciplines, our principles in life.
Yes.
What words would you say to the viewer at home that would need that encouragement to keep family cohesive in today's times?
That's a good question. The fact is that when we think about values or morality, we're thinking about that which is aligned or conform to right standards. So for me as a pastor, we have to go back again, as I'm always passionate about this. We have to go back to God's word. Because if God instituted marriage, obviously he gave us a manual that will help us to live consistent with what he expects of us. God is wise. So in the construct of the family, you also give us a manual, which is the Bible. You know, many times we have things that we try to fix and we don't get it right. Somebody goes into an engine, for instance, and they're trying to get it right, but they don't have the skills. They don't have the right tools. They don't have the understanding of what is to be done. We go back to the Bible, and we recognize that the Bible shows us clearly that if we have right values, or as you call it, principles or morals, it molds character and shapes the destiny of men. We go back to the Bible, and it again forms character and shapes the destiny of a nation as well.
And
so we have a foundation on which we can build.
And Pastor, for those who don't read the Bible, that may be of another denomination, this is a two-part question.
Yes.
For those people that don't read the Bible and is seeking spiritual guidance,
Yes.
also, what challenges do you face with rules that may have changed, you know, like they took prayer out of certain schools in other nations? Do you face similar obstacles to deal with in bringing back the God element in institutions of learning centers, workplaces, and forums such as that?
Yes, yes. The family, again, is where we start to educate our children. The second place, of course, is the school. What happens in our curriculum, and this is where we as Christians come in now, the fact is that we are supposed to be salt and light, not, of course, speaking ill against any other religion or institution. But now, if we understand the function of Christianity in becoming salt and light, so into the education system and other structures of life, we carry the principles so that we can bring transformation into all spheres of society. This is where it must begin. For instance, you must have a dichotomy between government and church, but you cannot separate government and God, because where will morality come from? And when we make all these deliberate steps to take God out of the schools and take God out of structures that are governmental and otherwise, what we're actually doing is opening up ourselves for a society that is not even immoral, but a society that is without morals. Because we are supposed to be salt and light as Christians, to take all that we have from the scriptures into the wider society.
Okay, and the first part of the question was those who are seeking spiritual guidance, but that may not refer to the Bible.
Yes. Within all of us, there's something we call conscience. And written in our DNA is a moral code, a code that has been entrenched by God himself and has been, of course, validated by the scriptures.
Yeah, sometimes there's a gut feeling that you get when you're like, should I do this? Should I not do this? And then you have, like, you know, some movies, some cartoons, they have the devil there, and then they have like an angel, and it's pretty much you're talking to yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you think that's crazy?
No.
When, you know, you're like thinking, you're indecisive about doing something, you're like, you know what, I don't